Elddis Autoquest 145. Now this is a 4-berth with 4 belted seats. Actually, before we go any further, just let me show you inside. Now what I want to do, I just want to show you the inside first. Now, if you look at the back, it's a U-shaped lounge, a traditional U-shaped lounge, and it's got the sleeping over the cab, so there's your 4-berth. Now with a lot of the U-shaped lounges, basically, all they really are, the 4 berths, but they've got no belted seats, so they've only got the 2. Now with this one, you've got your U-shaped lounge, and let's move to the front. If you can see here, we've got another area with the 2 belted seats. So we have got now a proper 4-berth with 4 belted seats. So we'll carry on now. So it's a 2.2 on a Peugeot Boxer. It's a 2010 with 3,300 kilograms in weight, and it's 6.2 meters long. Right, so let's start setting this van up. So if you can see here, this is our water. This is where we put the water into the freshwater tank. Now, if you notice here, we've got the caravan style fitting. And the way we do this, here we have a pump. Now, your typical caravan style, we've got the connector and then we have the pump. So obviously this is going in aqua roll with the water. And then you can hear the pump going, that's drawing the water through. Now you must have your 12 volts switched on inside the van, obviously for this to work. Now another way you can fill up your freshwater tank is this. We can have the same connector on a hose pipe with a connection, then we can hook up to the hose pipe, and then we can put this in and fill up like so, if you can just hear the water going in. Now again, if you're using that type of connection, you still must have the 12 volts on inside, because there is a cut off on it. So if we did turn the 12 volts on inside and we hooked that up, it wouldn't work, it wouldn't fill in because the tap's closed on it. So just remember, you must have the 12 volts on inside. So we'll move down. These are your vents for your fridge. And then what we've got the hatch here, and that's our leisure battery. And then what we can do then is we can put our 230 in. So we have our 230. Maybe we can plug it in. Next to that, we have our gas. We're on propane there, and then we do have the crash button as well, which we hold in, especially if you change your gas bottle over. And then we'll move round to the other side. So before we go in, here we have outside aerial, and then here we have the winter cover for our flue off on the Truma heater. I'll see if I can get it off this time. That was easy. And then just a quick one here, if you've got this covered up, you will not be able to use it on the gas because you're starving the flame of oxygen. So you must have this off when you're using it on the gas. And then we move on to the cassette toilet. And then to open this up, we lift up and pull out. Any type of resistance whatsoever is because you haven't closed on the inside, and I will show you that in a bit. And then what we have to fill up the flush on this, we have the green tap, which we can put on, and then we can fill up. And then just to the side, what you will see is a little indicator here of how full your flush is. Now before we go inside, a couple of things I need to show you which I forgot was just behind the back wheel we do have our waste drain off. So everything down a plug hole goes into the waste tank, and that's where we drain off. And just round the other side I'll quickly show you your fresh water drain. So everything we filled up with fresh water into the fresh water tank we can drain down as well. Just below the vents for the fridge we have our fresh water drain. Right, so we're at the back of the U-shaped lounge part now, and dead easy to make the bed up. We just pull the slats out, and then we move all the cushions over to make up the bed. Right, now as you can see, we've got all the lights on. Now the thing with these Elddis is they do have an isolation switch, and they're normally by the door. Just let me show you. So Habitation door, if we have a look down here as we come in, here's our isolation switch. So if I press that, that isolates all the 12 volts. And next to it here, we have our electric step. So just remember that with the isolation switch. It is quite good as if you're going out, you can just knock all the lights off as you go out, and then as you come back in, you switch all back on again. But it has caught me out a few times when I've been trying to get 12 volts going, and then I've remembered on the Elddis, the isolation switch. So shall we have a look at setting the van up, and let's have a look at some of the controls. Right, so at the back, we've got the wardrobe, and then behind the wardrobe then, we do have all the controls. So we'll start off with the easiest ones. Here's the aerial and your 12 volts. And then we do have a 230 volt plug. Now this one here is your toilet light. And then we're moving on to the appliances now. So first of all, we have our electric heating. So if you notice here, we do have a gas and electric fire Truma system. So we can operate this on gas and on electric. So I'll show you the electric first. Here's our switches for our electric. So if you can see here, I've switched this on to 500 and nothing's happened. I've just switched it off again. We must have this switched on first to operate the electric. So we've got 500, 1000. Can you see how the lights come on? And then I can go the other way to 2000. And that's the temperature. So don't forget, you must have the switch on first before you can actually use the heating dial. So what we'll do now is we'll move on to the little panel. So we have our panel. We've got our pump. So you can hear the pump running. I'll just switch that off a second. How much water we've got in, because we have just filled it all the way up. And here's our battery select. So auxiliary is leisure battery. Vehicle is for vehicle battery. So remember, if you're using the vehicle battery and you haven't got a hook up in the van, you're draining the vehicle battery. So that's just designed for in emergencies if your leisure battery goes down on you. So what we'll do now is we'll get the van all primed up with the gas and the hot water. So middle of the van, we have our kitchen area. We have a 3-burner hob. And then we do have our sink with hot and cold water. So if I just turn the gas, the igniter's here on the grill. And then there we go, light the hob. I'll just bring all three through. So again, if you've changed your bottle over, it will take 3 or 4 seconds because you're pushing air through for the gas to actually come through. And then if you want, you can do the grill and the oven. So the next one is a water. So we've filled the fresh water tank up. So what we need to do now is to fill the hot water tank up. So we'll put a pump on. So there's our pump. Switch that on. And if you can hear the pump going, it's a pressure pump. And now what's happening is the fresh water is going into the hot water tank and filling it up. And then what I'll start to do is push air through, and then the water will start to come through. Every time you use your hot water, it will automatically fill up your hot water tank. And this process takes roughly about 2 minutes. Long time, 2 minutes, isn't it, when you're waiting? So as you can see now, the hot water tank's filling up, the water's flowing through now, and then if I turn the tap off, you'll hear the pump, and there you go, we're primed up. So just going on to the hot water tank, one of the biggest mistakes people make is they drain the hot water tank down and then don't forget to close the tap. So what had happened is, when you're going through this process with the pump on, basically what's happening is the water's coming out the fresh water tank, going in the hot water tank, and because you haven't closed the tap, basically it's draining out the bottom of the van. So if it starts to take a bit longer than you think, just go outside and then you'll actually hear the water going hitting the floor outside. So I'll just show you the hot water tank. So we can find that opposite the kitchen in the wardrobe. So if we have a look, and what we've got a hatch here, and can you see the Truma heater, and just down we have our little yellow lever with which if I pull up, that drains it down, And can you hear the pump? There we go. So again, if you're not using your van for a certain amount of time, just drain that down. It's good habits to get into, so winter time then it's not going to freeze up, and also it just gets rid of stagnant water. So now we've primed up, we can actually get the hot water on now. So we're going back to the back of the wardrobe, and here we have our hot water. So if you want it on the gas, we can just turn, and that's lit. And then we can adjust whatever temperature we want the water. Now another thing with the gas hot water is if you haven't used it in a while, 9 times out of 10 it will trip out and you will get a red light. Biggest mistake people make is they switch it off and switch it on again. Just switch it off for 3 or 5 seconds, just let it reset itself, and then just switch it back on again. So I'll turn that off now, and now if we've got a hook up in, this is our electric hot water. Dead simple, we just switch it on, and then that'll heat the water on the 230 electric. Now, to heating your hot water up, it will always warm up quicker on the gas than it will on the electric. But if you're on a campsite, then you're going to tend to use the electric more than you'd use the gas. So I've showed you how to switch how to use the fire on electric. We can also use it on the gas if we're wild camping. So what we have here, just like lighting a hob, we turn, hold the gas in and ignite. And then I don't know if you can see that, and if you look down in the spiral you can see the flame, so you know it's lit. You can also hear it burning as well. So I've shown you how to get the fire on the electric and on the gas. Now can you see these little vents here? This is for your blown air. So if we've got the fire on and we put the blown air on, it'll blow obviously warm air through. If we've not got the fire on, it's going to blow cold air. So on your fire here we have 2 dials. So there we go, we can adjust the fan speed, and then if we go to A, if you notice that's a lot quieter. That's more for using at night time, and the fan will run a lot slower and a lot quieter, and then in the daytime you've also got the other option where it'll push the air through a lot more quicker. Before I get up underneath the grill and the oven, I'll just show you the isolation valves. So you can see the 3 valves, the snowflake for the fridge, the saucepans for the hobs, and the oven obviously is for the oven and the grill. So they isolate the 3 appliances there. Now we do have, don't forget, we have the hot water and also we have the fire on the gas. So there's got to be another 2 isolation points somewhere else. And where they are underneath here. So I've lifted the cushions off the bench seat and I'll just show you where the isolation points are. And there you go, you've got the picture of the tap for the hot water, and then you've got the fire as the other isolation point for your gas. So we've got our fridge, 3-way fridge. What we've basically got is we've got the electric for the top one. So that's now working on the electric. And then we also have leisure battery for when we're moving around, so that'll only work when the vehicle's engine started. And then we now have a gas, and what we have to do is we put that onto gas, we come to this dial just like lighting the fire, and there we go, that's lit. As you can see, the little indicators going up into green, and now I'll take my finger off and that's staying lit. Obviously if the flame goes out, I'll just turn that off. You can see the little indicator going back down. I'll show you the bathroom. It is a small combined bathroom. So as we look in, we have our cassette toilet. And then I showed you early on how to fill up the water for the flush. We press there and that'll send the water round. And then the white lever empties the water into the cassette. And then just above, we have our drop down sink, and there it is for having a wash. And then we also have opposite that our shower. So what sets us apart from the U-shaped lounge is having this little dinette here that gives the extra 2 belted seats. So it really does turn this motorhome into a 4-berth. So we've got a dinette here with the belted seats. We've got a bed at the back, which I showed you how it's made up. And then we've got our other bed above the cab. And we have another double bed. So I'll quickly show you what's underneath the little dinette, forward facing dinette. So what we've got, so as you can see with the bench seats, we've got all our water pipes from coming into the van. And then if you can see there, we've got our pump. So the last thing I need to show you, driver's side under the bench seat, what we've got. So this is where our battery was housed, if you remember from outside. This is our hookup coming into the van, the 230. And then what we've got here is our consumer unit. So we have our 230 trips. There you go, we've got 230 coming into the van. And then we have our 12-volt fuses, all labelled up, fridge, lights, pump, roof fan. So everything there in case you do get a trip. So all along the van, we've got plenty of storage. We have a little skylight there, storage all the way round, and then we do have our skylight where we have our blinds and fly screens, and then windows all the way around, which we can open up, and then we can just tighten up here, tighten the other side, and we keep the windows open. When you're going to shut the window, don't just force it closed. Undo them just to take the pressure off, and then close them. And again, we have fly screens and blinds on all the windows. So there's your Elddis. It says on the Peugeot Boxer it's a 2.2, so it's a chain, not a cam belt. It's a 5-speed. This is low mileage, this one's only done 9,000 miles. We do have the radio, and then we do have our hot and cold. But there is no air conditioning on the van. So the Elddis Autoquest, U-shaped lounge, 4 belted seats, you've got your little dinette behind the driver, good all round van.